Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Yesterday, July 22nd, 2016, there were news headlines of the passing of Denny Green, the former NFL head coach for the Minnesota Vikings and Arizona Cardinals, also a part-time assistant with the 49ers. In this video, we're going to talk about how his death parallels Prince and what it has to do with the upcoming Super Bowl, Super Bowl 51. Notice Denny Green passed at age 67. Earlier this year in February, shortly after the Super Bowl concluded, I predicted that Prince might die, and I talked specifically about the number 67. The reason I made that prediction is because Vanity, his singing co-star from the days of Purple Rain, his former girlfriend, died just before the Grammys, the day of. And through the decoding work that I do, I showed the parallels between Vanity and Prince and said Prince better look out. In that video, I specifically talked about the number 67. Prince had a June 7th birthday, 6/7. And I talked about how 67 routinely shows up around death. Prince would die in a span of 67 days from the death of Vanity, February 15th to April 21st. No coincidence. When Prince died, I showed how his death was connected to the NBA Finals and the upcoming Super Bowl. They ended up announcing his cause of death on the date of Game 1 of the NBA Finals, June 2nd. No coincidence. Anyhow, now Denny Green, the Minnesota head coach from the NFL, has died at age 67. And again, just to show the significance of that number, blood sacrifice equals 67, shows up around celebrity sacrifice often. Freemasonry equals 67. It is the Freemasons executing things by the numbers, from rig sports to rig news to the murder of celebrities. Revelation also has gematria of 67. We're going to talk a lot about Revelation in regards to Denny Green, this past year's Super Bowl, and the first Super Bowl ever won by a black head coach, Tony Dungy, who's been talking out about the death of Denny Green. What's really interesting about Prince's death, a death connected to 67, and then Dennis Green dying at age 67, is that their deaths come in a span of 93 days. Minneapolis, Minnesota equals 93, so does Minnesota Vikings. 93, an important number to the occult. Saturn is represented by the number 93. And the occult religion Thelema, they worship 93. They greet each other by saying 93. They say goodbye by saying 93. This number has esoteric importance. Saturn is the keeper of time. This is a number that shows up around ritual sacrifice a lot. Think about the symbol, the crucifix. Jesus on the cross, crucifix equals 93. Prince also died on the 93rd meridian in Chanhassen, just outside of Minneapolis. When Prince died, it was April 21st, the 112th day of 2016. The upcoming Super Bowl will be hosted in Houston. Houston equals 112. Peterson, the star running back of Minnesota, equals 112. Bridgewater, the starting quarterback of Minnesota, equals 112. Andrew Luck also sums to 112. Andrew Luck was born in 89. The year Denny Green accepted the head coaching job with Stanford. Very possible that we see a Colts and Vikings Super Bowl or a Colts and Giants. We'll talk more about that. His name's Dennis Green, but a lot of people called him Denny Green. Denny Green has gematria of 57. Remember, Prince passed at age 57. Vanity died at age 57. 57 is the number connected to Super Bowl and championship. If you write out 57, it sums to 131. If you write out championship, it sums to 131. If you write out Super Bowl, it sums to 131. Last NFL season, for over half the year, ESPN had a story linked of 57 children named after Peyton Manning that was a minute 31 long. 57 children, 131, all part of the riddle that forecast the Super Bowl for Peyton Manning and his retirement season. Number 18 finishing after 18 years on a date with 18 numerology. Dennis Green, he turned 67, 10 days after the Super Bowl this past year. The Super Bowl was February 7th, hosted by the 49ers, who he was an assistant coach with. Notice he was born in 49. The name Green in Gematria equals 49. 49ers just hosted the Super Bowl. 49, the book of Revelation, equals 49. Special number connecting to prophecy, which we'll talk more about. Supposedly he was born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Harrisburg alone has Gematria 58, just like Freemasonry. Huge number in last year's Super Bowl. Cam Newton was the 58th quarterback to start in a Super Bowl. He had a Black Panther on the side of his helmet. Freemasonry equals 58, with the S exception 67, like where we began. Huey P. Newton, the founder of the Black Panther Party, Huey P. Newton equals 58. He started it in Oakland, not far from where this last Super Bowl was hosted. Oakland equals 58. Special number to the gang, Harrisburg, PA sums to 66. The first Super Bowl played at the end of the 66 season, in the beginning of 67. NFL in Jewish Gematria also sums to 66. If you write out 50, it sums to 66. We just had Super Bowl 50. Special Super Bowl golden logo all year. Dennis Green. This name in Gematria sums to 60 and 69. The NFC Championship for the upcoming season will be January 22nd, 2017, a date with 60 numerology. And I've been writing for a while on my blog that I expect the NFC Championship to be Giants and Vikings. This is a good sign that the Vikings will be there. There's been a lot of other clues that I've talked about in other videos for the Giants. So Green in Gematria, again, sums to 49, born in 49. He was an assistant coach for the 49ers, his first NFL coaching job before becoming a head coach. The name Dennis Green in Simple English Gematria also sums to 114. It's interesting because the greatest game ever played sums to 114. That was the Super Bowl in 58 between the Colts and Giants. 1958 will be 58 years ago. That championship was also a repeat in 59. 59 to 2017 will be 58 years. Dennis Green has significant numbers, and we'll talk about the Giants and Colts game in the regular season that's scheduled this year. The day he was born, a date with a life lesson number of 42, also born in February. February is the only month with 42 Gematria. 42, a number stamped all over black people out throughout history. Denny Green, one of the most winning black head coaches in the NFL ever. We'll talk about how this number connects to Tony Dungy, the first black coach to win a Super Bowl as well. Born on a date with 33 numerology, very special number to Freemasonry. A lot of celebrities have this number coded in. I also have this note about 68. It's interesting that on the date of his death, there's the attack in Munich. Munich had the terror incident at the 1972 Olympics, 44 years before the upcoming Summer Games, which begin August 5th, a date written 5/8, a lot like 58. If you haven't seen my work on the upcoming Olympics in Munich, I put out that video a week ago. A week later, we get the terror hoax in Munich. Barack Obama, the current president. In the 2012 Summer Games, the U.S. flag fell from the rafters during the U.S. national anthem when Serena Williams was receiving the gold medal. Brazil equals 68, where the upcoming Olympics are. I think a lot's being foreshadowed here. And, sometimes these things can be a coincidence, but most times they're not. The Freemasons are running the show. They're ritually sacrificing people for upcoming events. Denny Green's sacrifice could be to a terror tragedy to come in the minds of the madmen, Remember, I'm exposing crazy people. What we're talking about is crazy, but this is what crazy people who are running the show are doing. You go through all that I've presented, all that's come to light in the time I've been presenting it. You see, this is no coincidence. The date of his death, July 22nd, 2016, a date with a life lesson number of 38, death 38, Minnesota 38, Prince 38, Germany 38, attack in Germany the same day. Also a date with 65 numerology. Dennis, his first name, equals 65. Also a date with 45 numerology, which reminds of the past Super Bowl, which was played February 7th, 2016, also a date with 45 numerology. From his birthday to his date of death, 156 days. When you write out 33, it sums to 156. Remember, he had 33 birth numerology. When you write out February 2nd, it sums to 156. February 2nd is the 33rd day of the year. The Star of David, the Zionist symbol, 2 3-sided triangles, 2 3s, 3 3. It represents as above, so below, which has gematria of 156. Also, when you write out 666, it sums to 156. And I'm realizing right now I didn't put something here that's supposed to be right here that I need to show you about 666 and Denny Green. So check this out. Let this screen load up here. This is gematrix.org, a gematria calculator website. When you type in the name Denny Green, which he was commonly called, it has English gematria of 666. And 666 connects to prophecy, future telling, which is often a good sign for going to big games such as the NFC Championship, such as the Super Bowl. Prophecy sums to 666. Remember this number 106. We're going to talk about it too. But I just want you to see how Denny Green connects to 666, connects to prophecy. Meant to have that there in the blog post. From February 17th to July 22nd is also a span of 157 days. United States equals 157. This year, the Denver Broncos visited the White House on the 157th day of the year, June 6th. 6-6, Revelation's the 66th book of the Bible that made the number 666 infamous. Also, that span of 22 weeks and 3 days, 223. What this reminds me of is at the beginning of the NBA season, Flip Saunders dropped dead, the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I pointed out how he was originally from Cleveland, and Cleveland had everything lining up for the NBA championship. I predicted in November that it would be a repeat of the NBA Finals. This time the Cavs would defeat the Warriors. I made those predictions based on what was being coded in media and also related deaths, very much like Denny Green, another Minnesota connection. Remember last year when I predicted the Super Bowl, when I first made the prediction that Broncos would win in October, it was based off of a car crash story out of Los Angeles where a body landed on Colorado Street. Colorado equals 38. The Super Bowl was on the 38th day of the year. Colorado's the 38th state. Minnesota also equals 38. Here we're talking about Denny Green, dead on a date with a life lesson number of 38. So death in predicting sports, sadly, this is a real thing. This shouldn't be a real thing, and it wouldn't be a real thing if we weren't run by a gang of mad tyrants who don't respect human life, which is the main point of taking away from my work. I'm showing you the sickness that's going on so you can see what you need to stop supporting, what you need to stop investing in. 223 again connects back to Masonic. Also, the synagogue of Satan equals 223, the name for the false Jews from the book of Revelation, the book of prophecy. From the Super Bowl that's to come to July 22nd, his date of death is 199 days, which is the 46th prime number. Sacrifice equals 46. The past Super Bowl, Super Bowl 50, was the 46th Super Bowl of the modern era, hosted in Levi's Stadium, 46. From the last Super Bowl to Denny Green's death, February 7th, 2016 to July 22nd, was 167 days. The 67 stands out, but 167 is also the 39th prime number. Remember, Peyton Manning just won by the numbers at age 39, then retiring. Article on him being former assistant with the 49ers, head coach at Stanford, again where Andrew Luck's from. He coached 13 seasons in the NFL. This article says he died late Thursday night, which would be July 21st, but it would still be July 22nd Universal Standard Time. Some articles are reporting dead July 22nd, others are reporting dead late July 21st. July 21st was my birthday. It was a date with 44 numerology, the kill number. And this year's upcoming Super Bowl will be on a date with 44 numerology as well. Adrian Peterson's birthday will follow the Super Bowl by 44 days. Also, Super Bowl 51 was hinted at in the movie Oblivion. Oblivion has Gematria 44. So the reporting of July 21st is also interesting, but even if he did die late July 21st, it still was July 22nd Universal Standard Time, which is what the banker tyrants go by. So 13 seasons, 67, 6 plus 7 has numerology of 13. What else is interesting in this reporting is what his career record finished with. 113 wins, 94 losses, 94 the reflection of 49 like Green. But 113, that very special number to the Masons, to the Zionists. Mainstream 113, dishonest 113, Scottish as in Scottish Rite Freemasonry 113. Scottish Rite, the small way, sums to 57, the Super Bowl number. You know, this is exactly what the NFL is. It's mainstream, it's dishonest, it's rigged, it's scripted, it even involves celebrity sacrifice. So this article, it brings up Larry Fitzgerald, Tony Dungy. We'll talk about them in a moment. To do a little break on the numbers, I just want to watch this old beer commercial from when Denny Green was still coaching, Coors Light commercial. And then I want to look at a quote from 1984, the George Orwell book. And I want to make a point about this commercial as well. Let's just take a gematria break and enjoy this for a second.
Those guys just took off with all your cold, refreshing Coors Light. Who do they think they are? They are who we thought they were.
They are who you thought they were? Well, who do you think they were?
They are who we thought they were.
Okay. Well, if you knew who they were, why didn't you stop them?
We let them off the hook.
Cross Brewed Coors Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Coach, those guys that took your Coors Light, they went that way.
Those guys are toast.
All right, so a lot of you probably remember those commercials using clips of football press conferences to sell beer. And what it really shows is who these men truly are. You know, Denny Green knew he was participating in a rigged league where the games were scripted, predetermined outcomes, and he was part of the recipe for reaching the predetermined outcome. And think about what these coaches do who participate in these rigged leagues. They do the same thing as the players. They go and participate in these press conferences, and everything that comes out of their mouth is complete bullshit, complete dishonesty, you know, selling out all the fans who invest all their time and energy. Millions of people are deceived by these people who participate in the lies. Remember, Denny Green, his career finished with 113, 113 wins. Mainstream 113, dishonest 113. And I think that's ultimately why this gang that employs these people murders them by the numbers. Because they recognize that they're probably true about themselves. They recognize they're horrible people. And they see that the people who work for them are also horrible people. They're willing to lie, deceive for money. So if you're a horrible person and you employ people who are horrible, you probably don't think much of killing them for ritual sacrifice. You know, who cares? You made these people rich, made them famous, and pretty much you treated them like puppets on sticks. So what is it to get rid of them? What is it to off them? And these people don't have to worry about getting in trouble. They run the system. They control the police. They control the courts. They control our government. You know? There were books written about us long before we came to be. Here's one from right after World War II, before there were any Super Bowls, from George Orwell's 1984. Remember, United States of America equals 84. Look at what it says. Films, football, beer, and above all, gambling filled up the horizon of their minds. To keep them in control was not difficult. And boy, is that ever true. Look at us as a society. You know, hundreds of millions of people living under tyranny who don't want to do anything about it, who don't want to acknowledge it. You know, most men just want to get through the day and watch their sports game, drink their beer, watch their football. This is what the powers that be want. They don't want 100 million men awake, recognizing what's going on and wanting to take the power back. Think about all the men right now studying to fill out their fantasy football team for the upcoming season. They should be studying gematria, what's going on in the world. All right, so now let's look at Dennis Green's death in regards to the upcoming NFL schedule. Going with the July 22nd reported death. From that day until September 11th, the first game of the season will be against the Tennessee Titans. And the reason that's interesting is because the upcoming Super Bowl is in Houston. The Houston Oilers once left the city and became the Tennessee Oilers and then changed their name to the Tennessee Titans. So this team's originally from Houston, who's hosting the Super Bowl this year. They're hosting Super Bowl 51, Houston. Houston Texans in Gematria equals 51. Conspiracy equals 51. From July 22nd to September 11th, 51 days. Earlier this year, I was reporting on all the 51 connections with the New York Giants. Their new head coach hired on a date with 51 numerology. McAdoo equals 51. I fully expect the NFC Championship to be Giants and Vikings. Anyhow, if you go from July 21st to September 11th, it's 52 days, which is also interesting because Tennessee equals 52. The game's in Tennessee. Prophecy equals 52. Minnesota will be hosting Super Bowl 52. Prince was from Minnesota. Prince said all we can go by in this world is prophecy. Prince was listed at 5'2". Again, prophecy 52. From July 22nd to this game is also a total span of 52 days. So no matter if you go with the July 21st or July 22nd date, it connects to 52 like Tennessee. Last year in Tennessee, there was the shooting on the final day of Ramadan. Ramadan equals 52. Prophecy 52. The shooter was supposedly Islamic, and they made his name sum to the same thing as the Prophet Muhammad. The Prophet Muhammad prophecy. These numbers are used again and again, repetitively in rigging news and rigging sports. There's a lot that's interesting here, but for the sake of time, we'll look at the Giants and the Texans scheduled games too. Again, the Texans hosting the Super Bowl. New York Giants also favored to be in the NFC Championship with the Vikings based on my research. From July 22nd to October 3rd, the date of the Giants game, looks like it's Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football primetime game will be 73 days. And what's so interesting about that is New York Giants has gematria of 73. And remember, Denny Green with the 114 connection that we talked about, the greatest game ever played was Giants and Colts. A lot of rivalry back then with the Giants and Vikings too from that era of football. You know, it'd be a fitting opponent for them to advance over going to the Super Bowl. If you go from July 21st, it's 74 days, a very important number to the Freemasons and the Zionists. Also interesting. 74, the reflection of 47, the first Super Bowl in the 47th season of the NFL. So then their next game is against the Texans, who are hosting the Super Bowl. From July 22nd to October 9th is 79 days. Murder equals 79, so does champion. We see a lot of ritual sacrifice and championships interconnected. If you go from July 21st to October 9th, it's 80 days. That doesn't have the same strong connection. But from July 22nd to the date they play the Texans is very interesting. They also do play the Colts in the regular season, a potential Super Bowl matchup. It'd be interesting to look at when the last time it was that two teams met in the regular season and then met in the Super Bowl. I pointed out last year in the build-up to the Super Bowl that when the Broncos and Panthers had last played in history, which was years before, the score summed to 50 points. It was Peyton Manning's first season in Denver. A hint at their matchup in Super Bowl 50, with the Broncos winning. So here's what's interesting about them playing the Colts on December 18th, the week before Christmas Sunday. From July 22nd before we get to the Colts game, let's cover the Cardinals. Denny Green coached for the Vikings and Cardinals. From his death to the game with the Cardinals, November 20th, is 121 days. Revelation, the big way, equals 121. The small way, 49. Again, Green equals 49, born in 49. Revelation also sums to 67, dead at 67. Here's what I want to show you. If you go to the calculator and you type in Indianapolis Colts, Minnesota Vikings, Arizona Cardinals, you're going to see that they all sum to 75. But remember, what the calculator doesn't calculate are the S exceptions. For each S, you can add 9 more. S is worth 1 or 10. Special letter, S is the 19th letter. 1 plus 9 becomes 10. 1 plus 0 becomes 1. It's the only letter in the alphabet that you have to compress twice to get to a single digit, so it can be worth 1 or 10. If you add the 2 extra S's for Indianapolis Colts, it sums to 93. If you add the 2 extra S's for Minnesota Vikings, it sums to 93. Remember, we talked about 93 in the beginning with Prince and Denny Green. Arizona Cardinals has gematria of 84 also. 1 extra S. Arizona, the big way, also sums to 84. Fitting name for the Arizona team. Anyhow, Minnesota Vikings, Indianapolis Colts with the S exceptions both sum to 93. And the date they play, December 18th, in most parts of the world, that date's written 18/12. 1 plus 8 in numerology is 9. 1 plus 2 becomes 3. 9-3, 9-3. From the date of that game between the Colts and the Vikings until the Super Bowl is 49 days. 49 days. Number of revelation, number of prophecy, number connected to Denny Green. 49ers just hosted the last Super Bowl. You know, in the earlier videos I've done, I've shown the parallels between the Broncos winning and what that shows for the Colts. Broncos just won the Super Bowl hosted by the 49ers. So real quick, I just want to emphasize the point again. If Denny Green truly died July 21st, that was a date with 44 numerology, the kill number, and this year's upcoming Super Bowl, February 5th, 2017, will be played on a date with 44 numerology. It will come 44 days before the Vikings star player's birthday, Adrian Peterson. In the reporting on his death, they get commentary from Larry Fitzgerald, the star wide receiver for the Cardinals, who was drafted by Denny Green when he was with the Cardinals, and also Tony Dungy, the first black coach to win a Super Bowl. I want to show you what's interesting about Larry Fitzgerald. Remember, we talked about the Vikings and Cardinals matchup this year on November 20th. Larry Fitzgerald in gematria sums to 83, just like football. Probably not a coincidence. So many superstars in the NFL have a connection to 83. Tom Brady, born 8/3, August 3rd. Peyton Manning, born on the 83rd day of the year, and many more. The first Super Bowl ever played was played on a date with 83 numerology, not by coincidence. Very much the football number. Colorado, the big way, sums to 83. Small way, 38. They're the 38th state, 83, 38, reflections of each other. They just won the Super Bowl on the 38th day of the year. The day Larry Fitzgerald was born, he was also born in the year 83. Born on a date with 33 numerology, very special number to Masonry, to so many sports celebrities. The shape of the football, that shape is known as the Vesica Piscis. The Greeks called it the matrix of life, said all things that enter into this world enter through that shape. Think about a woman's womb. Also, that shape is known as the mandorla, which has gematria of 33. Freemasonry, important symbol, important number. 33 was a special year for the NFL in its early days, too. That's when they first divided into 2 conferences. So, Tony Dungy, he would become the first black coach to win a Super Bowl. Notice he was born October 6th, 10/6, a lot like 106 for prophecy. Born in the year 55. He would win the Super Bowl on February 4th, 2007, a date with 33 numerology. Also, February 4th is a date that can be written 4/2. 42 is the number stamped all over black people throughout history. February is Black History Month. February is the only month that sums to 42. February 28th, the last day of February, is the 59th day of the year. And 59 is the other number stamped all over black people. 59 and 42 again and again. If you write out 5 as a word, it sums to 42. If you write out 9 as a word, it sums to 42. They're the only single digits that do. 5, 9, 42, the number stamped all over black Americans. There's a reason February is Black History Month. The year he won the Super Bowl, though, from October 6th, his birthday, to February 4th, 121 days. He was 51 years old at the time he won, like Conspiracy. He won it before his 52nd birthday. Prophecy, the small way, sums to 52. The big way, 106. Revelation, the book of prophecy, Revelation, 121. It's amazing how many times they've arranged these same patterns throughout history and the scripting of sports. If you haven't seen my work on the Giants Colts Super Bowl, the Giants have been getting a lot of prophecy coding this year. Just as a reminder, the Broncos just visited the White House on June 6th. From the date they won the Super Bowl to June 6th was 121 days. If you write out 50, the Super Bowl they won, it sums to 66. If you write out San Francisco, it sums to 50. Remember, if you write out Houston Texans, it sums to 51. They're hosting Super Bowl 51. San Francisco hosted Super Bowl 50. Revelation is the 66th book of the Bible. And again, Revelation sums to 121. 49 the small way, the 49ers hosted, and their new stadium is right on the 121st meridian. Likely not by coincidence. All right, so to wrap this up, what I want to do is play a short clip by RFG Chosen One. First, I want to apologize to him. A little more than a week ago, I put out a video that I think might have hurt him financially, and I feel a little bit bad about that. RFG Chosen One, he put out this video saying he was going to be releasing his Super Bowl picks, and for anyone to get them, they were going to have to pay $10. And in that same video, he took the time to attack me and to discredit my work, which was a mistake because RFG is a student of my channel. He follows my blog. He follows my video posts. Last year, after I wrote about and predicted that the Super Bowl would be Broncos over Carolina Panthers, RFG put out a video very similar to my work saying that would be the Super Bowl. Then this NBA season, in November, I said the Cavs would defeat the Warriors in a repeat of the NBA Finals. Some months after that, RFG put out a very similar video saying LeBron would win this year. And because he got both of those picks right, he told his subscribers he needed to charge him for the upcoming Super Bowl pick. And I didn't have anything against him charging his subscribers. If that's how he wants to make his money, more power to him. But in that same video, he attacked me. The video was passed on to me. I watched it, and then I put out a response to him saying, look, you don't need to be attacking me. You don't need to be putting down my work. You would serve yourself and your audience better if you were honest about the worth of my work and what you've been following to help arrive at the picks you've arrived at. You know, I don't think RFG needs to totally copy me. He's a smart guy. He has his own mind. When we watch this clip, I'm going to show you what he's also discovered about the Vikings this year. It's very interesting. It's a good job by him. I just want to remind him that if he works with other people instead of fights against them, he'll be more successful. Had he not slandered me, the video would have never been passed on to me, and I never would have put out the response. See, what happened is when I responded to his video, I put out this video right here, and I said, what's going on? And I predicted that RFG's Super Bowl video that cost $10 would be a prediction of the Colts versus the Vikings for a Super Bowl. I didn't know for sure that's what his pick would be, but I suspected that would be his pick because I've been writing about on my blog that the Super Bowl will either be Giants and Colts or Vikings and Colts. And as the deaths amount, you know, there's more of a narrative lining up for the Vikings with each passing day. But what I'll also remind people is that just because deaths happen in connection to a team, it does not mean that they're going to win the big game for sure. We saw the Oklahoma City Thunder this year. They had a lot of deaths connected to their team. The coach's wife, the owner, the brother of a player, and in the end, all of those deaths meant a loss in the Western Conference Championship. So things to keep in mind. Now, with that said, what we're going to do is we're going to watch this clip of RFG's video. As we go through his clip, I'll add some relevant commentary on top of his findings. Here we go.
Okay, what do we have here? What do we have here? We have Mr. Teddy Bridgewater. Mr. Teddy Bridgewater.
Remember, Bridgewater equals 112, Peterson equals 112, Houston equals 112. Big number for the upcoming scripted Super Bowl.
Mr. Teddy Bridgewater was drafted in 2014. He was drafted in 2014. 1 plus 4 gives you 5. He was drafted number 32 overall. 3 plus 2 is 5.
Remember what else is special about 32. NFL equals 32, 32 teams. America equals 32. The NFL calls itself America's game. 7/4/1776, a date with 32 numerology. Let's continue.
There's number 5. He's 23 years old. 2 plus 3 equals 5.
Teddy Bridgewater will turn 24 this November, if I remember correctly. I know he'll be 24 before the Super Bowl. So then it'll be 2 plus 4 equals 6. And, if I was going to say there's a weakness in RFG's presentation right now, I'd say that it's because it's Super Bowl 51, and 51 has numerology of 6. 5 plus 1 is 6. But I do like what he's showing here with 5 in the race war symbolism, which he's about to get to. The last Super Bowl, the Black Panthers versus the White Broncos, was very much about the ongoing race war in the media. Remember, the TV show debuted on FX with Cuba Gooding Jr. about the O.J. Simpson trial. That show came out on February 2nd, the 33rd day of the year. It began with the White Bronco chase. O.J. Simpson trial, very much part of a race war in this nation. Let's continue.
The Vikings will go 11-5 with 5 losses.
11-5. I like that pick. If you flip that number around, 511. Saturn equals 511 in Jewish gematria. Saturn equals 93 in simple English. Remember the 93 connections we began with? Saturn, the keeper of time. I think that's a good pick there.
Will be the 5th seed in the NFC playoffs. The Vikings will win the NFC title game to go to the state with 5 letters, Texas, to go to the land of the 5-pointed star. They'll win the NFC title game to go to the state with 5 letters, which is Texas, the land of the 5-pointed star, the pentagram.
So, what I would ask RFG is I'd ask him how he narrowed it down to Colts and Vikings just going off of 5. Because the thing about a single digit like 5, and when you break down numbers to a single digit, is a lot of possibilities will amount to that. There's a lot of NFL teams that could fit into this picture of 5. There's a lot of players that could fit into this picture of 5. So I would like to know how RFG narrowed it down to Vikings and Colts based on this research. People who follow my blog know how I got to Vikings and Colts by showing all of the evidence from past football performances to celebrity deaths to what was coded into last season. All things that we've been tracking year after year. Since 2013, I've shown the Colts special scores when they're in Houston playing their division rival, the Texans. So my research is part of a long, ongoing puzzle of putting the pieces together. RFG's putting out this video saying I'm a fraud even though he follows my work and is saying that this is the pick because of 5. So I wish he would elaborate on how he got here with just 5.
Where 5 police officers were gunned down, in Texas. This will be the 5th time in a row where a black QB faced a white QB in a Super Bowl. The 5th time in a row that a black QB faced a white QB in a Super Bowl.
So again, remember this Dallas shooting which he's referencing where 5 officers died. It's part of this ongoing contrived race war, which is what I was talking about last year when I said the Super Bowl would be Broncos and Colts. We're living out this period of time where the powers that be are really emphasizing hate and division. And RFG is seemingly trying to expose that while playing into it at the same time. in his videos that he's made about me, he's made it about race. This is what I don't understand fully about RFG, trying to expose the truth while participating with everything that's wrong. And the way I could, account for that is saying, well, he's a young man, He's still figuring it out. A lot of times it's easier to see what's wrong than to become part of the solution. And with regards to the Dallas shooting on 7/7, here's what else it makes me think of. The word police department equals 77. The word police officer equals 77. Shooting on 7/7, they said it was the worst loss of life for a police department since September 11th. September 11th, when written out, sums to 77. So does World Trade Center, where the officers died at on September 11th. On that day, there was also Flight 77 that crashed into the Pentagon on the 77th meridian, 77 minutes after taking off, plus the Pentagon's exactly 77 feet tall. So these are special numbers to the gang. The Dallas shooting, Dallas in gematria equals 49, the product of 7 times 7. Remember, the shooting came 49 days before the mayor's birthday. The police chief's name equals 49. As I show in my work, what happens in the news is riddled into sports. So for RFG to be making these parallels, again, these are the signs that he's been a student of my work. And I'm not mad at him for that. I'm grateful. I need more and more bright minds like his following my work and spreading the message. And they don't have to give credit to me for their source, but at the same time, to make videos bashing me and saying my work is meaningless, what's that about? What is that about, RFG? Let's continue.
And his hometown.
Gotta pause, just thought of one more thing. Earlier in his video, he makes the point that he thinks the NFC Championship this year will be Vikings and New Orleans Saints. Remember, on April 9th, 4/9 as we write it in the U.S., Will Smith, the former Saint, was supposedly gunned down after a car accident. Then exactly 49 days after his death, the basketball player for New Orleans was killed supposedly after kicking in the wrong door at a hotel 49 days later. Also this year, there was the shootings in Louisiana and Minnesota that triggered the event in Dallas. Louisiana and Minnesota both have gematria of 38 like death. I think that's part of the reason he thinks the NFC Championship will be Vikings and Saints. And if it is Vikings and Saints, great job to RFG. And again, this is what it will have come back to. All of this race war coding, channeling from the last Super Bowl. So for him to be making this point about the white quarterback versus black quarterback for the 5th time, these are good observations.
Of Miami is where Super Bowl V was played. Ladies and gentlemen, Teddy Bridgewater's hometown of Miami is where Super Bowl V was played.
Well, that is true. The Colts won that Super Bowl. They were in Baltimore then. They won with 16 points. Think about the Indianapolis Colts winning in the 2016-17 season. But the thing about Miami is Miami's hosted more Super Bowls than any other city. I think they've hosted 14 or 15, maybe more. They've hosted a lot.
It's all going back to the 5 this year. The 5-pointed pentagram. Either your 5 points are up or they're down. Either your pentagram is up like the Moore flag or it's down like the Baphomet. And that's what they're going back to with this Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can get a full picture of this. Okay? This will be the 5th time in a row a black QB faces a white QB in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl V was played in Teddy Bridgewater's hometown of Miami. The Super Bowl where the Colts won by a field goal at the 32-yard line, 3 + 2 = 5, with 5 seconds left on the clock. I'm going to repeat. Super Bowl V was played in Miami, Teddy Bridgewater's hometown, okay, where the Colts won by a field goal at the 32-yard line. 3-2 gives you 5 with 5 seconds left on the clock. The Vikings will lose Super Bowl 51 and have an 0-5 record in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 51 stadium area code is 77054, which in numerology, 7 + 7 is 14. 14 + 5 is 19. 19 + 4 is 23. 2-3 goes back to your goddamn 5, which is your 5-pointed pentagram.
All right, so, it's all about 5 in his estimation. What I'd really like to hear from him is how he broke it down from all the other teams with the 5 connections. There's a number of teams that have 5-letter names, players in their 5th year. You could make the argument about 5 for a lot of teams. What I've shown is how the Giants, the Colts, and Vikings all have parallels to Houston and what's been foreshadowed. And again, what I think RFG has done is taken my picks and put his own spin on it with his own understanding and wants to claim it as his own. And again, that's perfectly fine. Just don't go out of your way to slander me. The beginning of this video starts with an attack against me. The end of this video ends with an attack against me. And it's sad because I just keep putting out videos saying, yo, RFG, we're all here to expose the madness. Why are we fighting amongst ourselves, Here's those Super Bowls. Here's Super Bowl 5 right here. January 17th, 1971. Baltimore over Dallas. Notice they played a team from the NFC East, like where the Giants are. Something else to think about. The first ever time the Colts were in a Super Bowl, it was also against a New York team, the New York Jets. The Baltimore Colts, New York Giants championships came before the Super Bowl era, 58 and 59. The first Super Bowl was at the end of the 66 season, played on the date January 15th, 67. Remember, 1 plus 15, 16, plus 67, 83. Football, 83. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.